Okay. So yesterday we were at this particular stage, right? So probably let me start my application first of the user service. Yeah, okay, port 1990 was already in use. So, so let me make it as 6060. Okay. Yeah, okay. So let me open the Postman and let me go to this. And here we do have something called mm, okay. So here what we are actually doing, right? So here I will just go to this one and here we do have something called a auth and forward slash login. So what it is actually doing, so whenever we are passing username and password with a plain a JSON request, so like this, username and the password. So what we are going to do, we are actually going to use the authentication manager. So this authentication manager is actually being used in the security configuration over here. So we have already given enough details to build the authentication manager along with the user detail service. So this custom user detail service is going to load the user by username, and it has something called the get password also, where it is going to compare the database password with the plain text password that we have sent in the login request. So how it is actually doing it? So we do have something called the password encoder set for this authentication manager over here. Okay, so this DAO authentication provider, we need to set the user detail service. So this user detail service is the user detail service, which is actually from this Spring Framework Security Core user details package. And I have set the custom user detail service, which actually, implements the user detail service of the Spring Core. Okay. So, and now what we are going to do over here finally, so here we are actually going to build the authentication manager by setting the custom user detail service and also the password encoder. So if you are not going to set the password encoder, so here in the user detail service, whenever we are going to retrieve the username along with the username password, right? So that password will be compared with this user details get password from the database. Okay. So this is what you need to know. And this is a get authorities method, which is actually being used in the user details to get the roles of the particular user entity. Okay. So that's the full idea. So now, so once we actually do that, if I just go to our auth API, so here we do have something called the login request DTO and the login request DTO variable. So where we are actually using the authentication manager, which is constructor injected. So if you don't have this, right, so we need to generate a constructor manually like this. So this becomes the constructor injection. Okay. So generate constructor and click on OK. So this is how we need to do it. But Lombok actually provides the required args constructor, especially for the final fields. So you don't have to write a constructor for it. Okay, so it will do it automatically. If you don't have this, probably you will get an error because you need to generate a constructor for this final fields at any cost. If they're not final, probably it will not ask. We can use auto void or we can actually generate a constructor. But it is always a best practice to declare them as final. Got it? So that's the total idea. And here, let me go and use the authentication manager dot authenticate. So whenever we are passing the username and the password in the form of JSON body to this login endpoint, so the authentication manager will call authenticate method. So whenever we call this authenticate method, it is going to call the custom user details service. So let me run this application in the debug mode so that you will all understand about this. Okay, so let me stop the application. And let me start the application in debug mode. And then probably I will just go to this and I will just go and use the custom detail service. And here there's the debugging point. And here the token service also I need to keep a debugging point. Okay, so that's the total idea. And so let me submit the data. So this is actually running on 6060. I've changed the port so you can also see the ports and submit the data accordingly. So I just wanted to use localhost 6060 /auth /login. So this is a post request. So what we can actually do, we can actually send the data with the body. So here I just wanted to select a raw, and here I just wanted to send the username. So the username is Srinivas. This is what I have saved yesterday. The password is this one. So now let me send the request, and here, there you go. We have actually got. One second, guys. Yeah, okay, guys. So here we do have a auth API, and we have not received any debugging point. So let me go and why? Sorry, this is the wrong one. So I need to use localhost, not localhost. Okay. So here, there you go. So here, we are actually using authentication manager. So if you see the authentication manager here, right? So let's go to this authentication manager. Here it has, some data, event publisher, providers, DAO authentication provider it has, and it is obviously set with the custom user detail service. And there you go, right? So probably what we can do, so to this authentication manager, we have already auto-voided, not auto-voided, we have done constructor injection, but we have already prepared a bean for this. Whenever we are using authentication manager dot authenticate of username and password, this custom user details service will be called. And if I just go a step forward, see, it is actually coming to the custom user details service. Because whenever we are passing username and password, guys, always remember that we need to have complete understanding of what is happening behind the scenes. So this load by username is actually being called, and then here it is actually going to find the user by username only. But how the password is getting compared? So here we are actually not returning user entity. We are, if you just see this user entity, it is a user entity. Here we are actually returning user entity, but why this is actually user details? Because if you see the user entity, we have actually implemented the user entity with the user details. Got it? So that's the total idea, and that's what you need to understand. Okay. So why this is implemented? Because it has something called the get authorities, which will get you the roles automatically from the database. from this roles entity. So that's the total idea. Okay, we need to use user details, which will automatically check for the password, username, and all these kind of things behind the scenes. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. So there's something called Diego authentication provider. Okay, so here there is something called matches. So here the password encoder dot matches present password and the user details dot get password. Right. So this is how it actually checks. The encode, the presented password means. So this password is the actual password that. So let me keep a debugging point over here. Okay, so here it is actually going to call this one return loaded user, and then probably we are going to return the user over here. And after the user is authenticated, so we are actually going to prepare the authentication with the principal as user entity. So where it is going to have the username, the encrypted password, the mobile number, the roles, right? So he has the admin role, and then probably the authorities where the dependency of the roles is there. Okay. So here what we are actually doing, so we are collecting all the rules step by step, and we are actually generating the claim. And here we are building the claims, and then probably we are using JWT encoder in order to encode everything as a encrypted format. And we are going to call a get token value, so which will actually generate the token value for ours, right? So if I just go back and just use any of the endpoint which is in the touch controller, let's say I just have a secured API, and if I just use localhost /6060 /test /secure. So if you just see this, this is 401 unauthorized. But when I just go to authorization and when I select the bearer token here, if I just do this and send this, there you go, you have got the security page. So this is how the security works, and this is how we need to implement security with the public and private keys which are available over here, right? So let me tell you this particular point now. What is this private PEM and public PEM? So now if I just copy paste the token inside the JWT token, right, the JWT IO, if I just go and paste the token over here, right? So here, what happens is, yeah, can you see this? It is actually giving everything, but here it is actually using RSA 256 algorithm, right? And can you see it is an invalid signature? Why it is an invalid signature? Because we have not given our public key or the private key over here in order to validate the JWT token, right? So if I just go back, so that's the reason. See, right now you have a token which consists secured information about the user or any of the data. So what happens, even if you have the token, or even if the hacker is going to have the token, he will not be able to validate the signature. And JWT server always, what it will do, it will say it as an invalid signature, and the authentication will never pass. So what we need to do in that case, hacker also needs to have our public key in order to, can you see this? So once I paste this over here, so the signature becomes verified. So this is how the public key is being used. Okay. So if I just remove its public key, and if I just if I just paste the private key, let's see what happens. Okay. So here it actually is an invalid signature. So here, why it is invalid signature? Because I have not copied the public key and I have given only the private key, which is not used for validating the token. Got it? So this is how we can actually use. So here we can actually, share the JWT, and this exactly looks like the same over here. Can you see this? So this is how we need to, share the token to the persons which will be having the complete, the SSL certificate to this particular URL of the token. Okay, so that's the reason. Let me tell you one simple thing. So if I have, if I just go to this epam.com, right? So if I just go to this epam.com, what happens? So let me HTTPS www.epam.com. So let's say we are actually viewing the website because of this connection is secure and certification valid. Since the public key is there to visualize the website, but can I hack this website? No, it is actually protected. And if you see that there is something called instead of HTTP, right? They're actually using HTTPS, which is a secured website, and it has something called a public key over here. And without having a private key, no one will be able to hack this website. Got it? So that's the total idea. And that's how the security works in real time. Got it? So that's the advantage of using the private key and the public key in terms of this security, especially in terms of user management. Okay. So now let me go and conclude with the role-based authorizations. So let me go and, in the auth API, so in the test controller, so let me put one annotation, which is something related to the uh, authority. So here I just wanted to use @pre-authorize. And here I just wanted to keep has authority. And here I just wanted to mention it as admin. Okay. So now what I just wanted to do here, right? So let me go and so in order to enable this annotation, we need to add one more thing in our security configuration, which is something called @enable method security. So once we add this annotation, then only this annotation will be recognized, which is pre-authorized. Got it? So now what I will do, I will just go and restart the application now. Okay. Yeah. So now I have started the application. Now, if I just go back to this page and if I just send the request again with the same token, because the token is valid for 10 hours, right? So probably what I will do, I will just go and hit this enter. But here we are not getting unauthorized, but we are actually getting 403 forbidden access. What is wrong over here, right? So the user is an authenticated user, but the user doesn't have any permission to access that particular endpoint because it has something called has authority of admin role. But the admin but the username Srinivas is having the admin role only, right? Why he is allowed into the system in order to access, right? So let me go. So what is the database schema here we are using? So here it is users batch two. So probably I will just go to this and just minimize this. So this is so Srinivas user ID one. So user ID one is mapped to role ID one. So role ID one is admin. So he must have access, right? So let me tell you about this new security implementation. So let me go to the one. I just wanted to enable logging for now. So in order to enable logging, so I just wanted to enable the login level only for the Spring Framework security package. Okay, I just wanted to make it as debug because I can just see whatever the logs are there here. Now, if I just go and run this application, we'll just see some strange results in the logs, and we will just send the same token which is having the admin role. But why it is not getting recognized? That is the challenge. Okay, so if I just go and hit this back, so can you see this? We have something called, see, there is something called authorities scope underscore. But we have, so basically, when we are actually using the new Spring Security with the Nimbus, JWT encoder and decoder, so basically it is appending. So don't enable this debug mode in the production environment, which is really dangerous because it generates a lot of logs along with the scopes of the users, right? So I just wanted to identify. So you know how much time I have taken to fix this issue? Uh, Almost a week, right? So I don't know that I can enable this logging to debug, and then probably it has going to show me the scope underscore admin. So which is by default, it is appending scope underscore prefix dynamically to the actual role, which we are going to get over here, right? So what I can simply do over here, right? So if I just go to the controller and if I just add scope underscore, and then if I just restart the application, and if I just send the request back again with the same token, there you go, we have got the secured page. But we can also eliminate this by using the JWT authentication converter for the granted authorities. Okay, so let me use that one for you. And that is not mandatory, but if you just wanted to avoid the scope underscore, then probably we can define one more bean over here, which will actually convert our bean with the some other prefix. Okay, so here I just wanted to use JWT authentication converter, and here I just wanted to JWT granted authorities converter. So this is basically used to convert the role. So new JWT application converter. And here I just wanted to granted authorities converter dot set authority prefix as empty so that scope underscore will not be getting added. And then I just wanted to authentication converter, JWT authentication converter equal to new JWT authentication converter. And to this, I just wanted to set the authorities converter dot set granted authorities, and I just wanted to set that. So this is just to avoid, the scope underscore. So we don't want it because it doesn't look like it, right? So just that's the reason I just wanted to create this, and I just wanted to add at the right bean for this. And now if I just go and start this application again, by default, it will not append the scope underscore to this role by default, and it is going to be admin role only. Okay, like this. So let's see and test it out. So the first go is 403 forbidden access has to come. And then if I just go and send the request, yes, this is working. We are getting 403. And now if I just remove this scope underscore, right? So here, if you can see that here we are actually getting the granted authorities as admin. So now we are good to go. And then probably I will stop and start this application by changing this to admin role normally. And probably this is going to work just on the fly. Got it? So that's the total idea. And we are just done with the role-based authorizations, also along with the login mechanism of generating a JWT token, and we don't have to use this token, sorry, login credentials every time. We can actually use the token in order to access the endpoints. This is also can be done from the API gateway, but we will just go through that once the time comes. Okay. So now I'll just go through this and I will just submit the data again. So there you go. Our complete user service application is perfectly built and we are good to go. Got it? So that's the total idea. And this is how the application security works. I have just kept it for your reference, right? And if I just, log in with the user, which has the role as user, he will not be able to access that endpoint. So let me, who is the test user, right? So I just wanted to log in and I will just use the same token. So who is the user here? Let me go to the users. User, right? He's a user, not test. Yeah. So user, I'll just send this. Super, we got the token. And I will just modify the token here. And 403 forbidden access because this user has only the role as user, not as admin. You will not be able to access it. And we are going to get 403 forbidden access. And we are successfully done with the implementation of this role-based authorization. And if this annotation has to work, we need to make sure that the security configuration is having this at the rate enable method security only. Correct? So that's the total idea, and the security part is done completely. Since we need to use the security from the API gateway level, which is a complex scenario, which we will use it later for our Angular applications to hit only the API gateway only, not the respective services. So now I'll just stop this application and I will just go to the user's restaurant service. And here, basically what I will do, I'll just go to the restaurant API. So here we are done with all the things, right? So probably what I will just do, the next thing, what we need to do, right? So here I just wanted to go to, first of all, we have not implemented the service registry, correct? So we need to implement it as much as possible from our side. So by default, if you just see this one, right? So here, um, hmm, hmm. So here, I just wanted to rename this to application.yaml. And so first of all, anyone knows about registry service. We have already gone through that in the movie ticket booking system, I guess, right? So what we can do? Hmm? Yes. So probably this is a Eureka server, right? So probably what I will do now, so I will just go and add the server.port server. By default, it is the server.port. Just wanted to call this as 8761. This is the default port. And I just wanted to give the Spring application name and here registry, open service, and Eureka client. So this register with Eureka by default, it is true because it's a server. We don't have to register again the server with the server, and also the fetch register, which is used to get the information about the clients. So this is also false. Got it? So the next thing that we need to do from our side. So first of all, I just wanted to start this application, and also I just wanted to use this at the rate enable Eureka server. Okay, so this is already used. We have done it already. So let me start this application and let me stop the user service application from now. And what we can simply do over here, right? So let's wait for some time and we will identify. So now it has to run the user service, sorry, the service registry. and probably it started. Good. Super. Okay. It started on 8761. Let me open the local host 8761. Super. We have the Spring Eureka server, but right now we don't have any registrations of the clients. Okay. So first of all, what we need to do, right? So we need to add the dependencies of the Netflix, Eureka client for our dependent services. Okay. So let me go to this one, and then probably I will just go to the restaurant service first, and I will just go to the dependencies of this. And here, I just wanted to add a dependency, which is something called Spring Cloud, Netflix Eureka client. There you go. And I don't want version because, ha. So here, what I just wanted to do, there is something called the dependency management. In the home.xml, it will be there for this one. So dependency management has to be there for the Spring Cloud to manage the dependencies across all the places. So probably I will just go and use this one. And here I just wanted to use 2023.0.0 and refresh it. And I just wanted to add it in user service also. And here we need to the dependency add it. This one we can remove and we can actually refresh it so that it will be in sync. Just wait for some time. I'll just remove this one. Okay, good. So now I'll just go to add a dependency. Spring Cloud Netflix Eureka client. That's it. Refresh it. Good. We are in sync now. Good. Now everything is done. So I'll just go to this restaurant service. So we don't have to say, Eureka client register with Eureka. By default, they are true. So probably what I can just do, I'll just go and add at the rate enable discovery client. And I just wanted to use this one inside the user service also. Okay, so now I'll just use that. I think in the API gateway also we need to use it because it is also a registration for the Eureka server. So that's it, right? So probably I will just go close all the tabs, stop the service registry again. And I just wanted to restart the service registry first, and then probably I will start my API gateway, restaurant service, and the user service as well. Okay, so now we have something called the start a restaurant service or user service, whatever it is. So let me start the restaurant service. Let me start the user service also. And let me start the API gateway also. No, not required. That is the old fashioned, my friend P. N. Rao. Okay, we don't have to give the default zone also. Okay, so that's the latest implementation provided by the Spring Cloud. And I always upgrade myself, but there are some lot of articles in Google where they are going to say register with Eureka as false again. Sorry, true again, so that you don't have to worry about it. So let me go and start this API Gateway application also. So that is the old-fashioned PNG. Okay, I'll just show you the registrations now. Can you say this? Can you say this? Okay, so that's the total idea. I'll just refresh it again. The API gateway has not been started yet. So probably what might be the situation over here? So since I can see that there is something called the Spring Cloud Starter Gateway MVC. Okay. Okay, so I need to change the application.properties to YAML file first. So since the gateway will run on the 8765 by default, the server.port, and 8765 is the configured port for the API gateway. And I'll just give this as the application name also, Spring, sorry for that, application name. And here we do have something called the API hyphen gateway. That's it. And nothing we need to do. And probably I will just go ahead and start this application again. And there you go. It will start the API gateway and it will register with the Eureka server over here on the go. So right now, only two services are registered. We just have to register our API gateway also. Now it is started and you can see the logs over here, updating the port. And here the discovery client API gateway has been already registered. And here we have something called the API gateway also in place over here. Got it? Got it, right? So that's the total idea. Now what we can simply do over here, right? So probably I will just go ahead and do some changes in the API gateway to actually configure the routes, okay? So here we have something called Spring Cloud. Here we do have something called gateway, and here we can actually define our routes. So right now, routes. And here I just wanted to give the ID for the route, which is something called the user hyphen service. And the URI is, so actually we used to give it as HTTP colon forward slash user hyphen service, right? So this is a service name. So you have to make sure that the service name is also defined in the application.yaml file with the actual name. Got it? That's the total idea. And also mention inside this one as like this. Okay. So I'll just go to this and instead of using HTTP, right? So Eureka is a server, right? It's not a client. Eureka is a server. So who can make HTTP calls? Only client, right? Browser or some desktop application, something like that. But here, since server is going to call the services again, so it's a server to server call. There is something called LB. Okay, so this is how I will just tell you about this, but probably I just wanted to keep this right now. That is fine. Yeah. So we'll just keep HTTP for now, and also we can actually define predicates over here. And here we can actually define the path as, so I'll just tell you what is this one is about. So let's say If anyone is going to use /users /any URL, it has to redirect the request to this particular service which is registered with Eureka. Okay, so that's the total idea. If any URL, that means predicates, is going to contain the URL patterns, if any URL is matching with this pattern, right? So it has to redirect the call to the user service directly to the appropriate controller of the user service, which is /users, like this over here. But nothing is there, right? So we need to give something called the auth, right? Instead of auth, I just wanted to make this as users. Okay. And then probably I will just go to the API gateway application and then this matches. /users /login /users /sign up. So whatever the URL comes with that pattern, we are actually redirecting the user to the user service directly from the API gateway. Since there should be a single entry point. So what do you say, in the uh, Angular application, we must not have to configure multiple ports or multiple domains. There has to be a single entry point to the backend application where it can actually reroute the request to the appropriate service. Got it? So now I just wanted to copy the exact same thing. And I just wanted to say it as restaurant service. And here I just wanted to make it as restaurant service. And here anyhow, this is restaurants. That is the URL path that we have given for the restaurant service, right? So probably we'll just go to this. I'll just go to the APIs. There's a restaurant API, and there you go. We have a restaurant. Okay, so that means whatever the URLs are matching with this path, it has to reroute our request to the restaurant service. So ID is just like a unique value for a service, right? So here you can have two, one also. Okay, but that is also good. Okay, so right now I just wanted to use service names, so that is approximately a perfect fit for this. Okay, so now these are the only paths that we do have, but later on we will just add something called, the filters over here, right? So here the filters, right? So we can actually add the name of the filter. So that means no one has to, so there has to be authentication filter. I will just explain this part when the time comes, but not right now. It's a little bit complicated, but we'll have fun with that. That means no one will be able to hit restaurant's API until unless we pass a token to this particular restaurant's service. Got it? So that's the total idea, and that's how we need to do from the API gateway level. But we'll see this concept later, not right now. Got it? Now we'll just start our API gateway also again. So probably what I will do, I'll just go to this, I'll just stop this, I'll just restart this. Now I'll just open the Postman and I will just go and 6060, right? It is restaurant API, so not this. So it is 8765 for the API gateway port and then /restaurants. And I will just see the 0 and size number as 10. Okay, now let's see what happens for this. Why 8761? 8761 is Eureka Server Portman. 8765 is the API gateway. Since we don't have to call the restaurant service or the user service independently, so we can access the API gateway port in order to reroute the request to the appropriate services. Got it? So that's the total idea. But API gateway will talk to so that means whatever the URL comes, right? So let me tell you about this first. There you go. We have got this one as restaurants. So why it is like that? If I just go to the restaurants, here we do have /restaurants, and then we have something called the page number, the page size. Everything is good, but what is not working? I don't know. why we are actually getting the 404. Anyone has any idea? So make it as no auth for now. Just that's it. And now here we are again getting 404. But what is the actual reason for this, guys? Anyone has any idea for that? Anyone? Yes, right. So probably here it was unable to contact the restaurant service because let's say API gateway can talk. See, probably here we have kept HTTP, right? So whenever we make a call to the API gateway is already registered with Eureka server. So let me explain these concepts in a bit better way. So API gateway is registered, restaurant service is registered, user service is registered. If API gateway has to call the restaurant service, it has to take the help of Eureka server to call the restaurant service from the API gateway directly with the service name. So who is going to do that? Probably the Eureka server. But if API gateway has to call the restaurant service with the HTTP call, because API gateway is also a server, restaurant service is also a server. So we cannot call from API gateway with the HTTP call, right? So here we need to make this as LB, and here also we need to make this as LB. And now I just wanted to restart my API Gateway application over here. And I just wanted to hit that back again. So now we will see how the scenario works over here. Eureka is not a API gateway, my friend. Abhilash, Eureka server is just a registry for the microservices. See, right now, if you just wanted to call one service to another service, we actually use the URL of the service and the port number also. But using Eureka server, we will just do that experiments later on, Abhilash. So you will understand about it. Okay. So Eureka is just a server where it actually registers all the services so that those registered services can talk to each other directly with the service name and not with the port number. Got it? So that's the total idea. So if I just go back to the Postman and if I just do a hit, again, we are getting the 404 error. Anyone has any specific idea why this is not working from anyone? I'm just giving this as a user exercise to everyone. So please go through this and fix the issue. We will just discuss in depth why it is not working in the tomorrow session. Okay? Makes makes sense? Or if you have some 10 minutes of time, probably you can also discuss. Please. Why the LB is not working here. Anyone has any inputs on this? I'm just giving this as an experiment for you. You can ask ChatGPT, you can ask any of the, check the articles, but no one is going to give you the answer if this is an independent application of yours. Got it? So what you need to do is totally on your way. Anyone? Or you just wanted to go through the application first? Hmm? Very simple, guys. There's a little bit fly in this. Okay. Okay, so let me explain you about. So right now, if you just create start.spring.io, there's something called select a Marvin. If you just add, the gateway, right? Spring Cloud Routing. So here, if you just go to the Explore, you will see something called Spring Starter Gateway MVC. Okay, so what you need to do, very simple, right? So probably you just go to the pom.xml. So you just remove this MVC part, just reload this, and this is a very latest version 15 days back or 20 days back, the change was came from Spring Boot. Okay, it has to be a Spring Cloud Starter Gateway instead of Gateway MVC. Okay, so if I just stop the application and rerun the application now, now you can see the magic. Okay, so that's the total go, and this is what you need to understand from the dependencies side, and also all these things will be explained to you in a bit later stage, but you need to understand everything in a proper way. Yes. So Akash, for you, the fix is this one. So you can just send the request now. There you go. You got the restaurant. Got it? So there are so many changes in latest Spring Boot and Spring Cloud. Okay, so probably you can just go through each and everything and let me know if you have any concerns. Okay. Hey Akash, how are you?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good
I'm
morning.
fine.
So that's the only fix. So probably everyone is going to, develop a API gateway from start.spring.io or from the STS tool suite, right? So probably
Yes,
they need to understand the Spring Boot, Spring Cloud Starter, API gateway MVC is only works for when there is a view of JSP. So you need to remove the MVC part from the dependencies. And then if you
yes,
just submit your data, it will get you the data back with the predicates and the services.
yes. I will try, sir. Today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. I will meet you tomorrow at the same time. And also, I just wanted to give the zip of this application now. Okay. Okay. So let me go through this one, and I will just zip this application to you so that you can get just to go through this one. And done. And I will just go to the Telegram. And here we do have something called uh, 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 there's the one, right? 954 for your information. So API gateway routes with role-based authorization along with Eureka server implementation. Okay, so that's the total go. Enjoy with the application. Please go through the application every day, at least for 1 hour or 1.5 hours. You'll be getting the idea. So everyone, please join the session by 9. I will be starting the session by 9 itself so that we will conclude the session by 9:55 or 9 or exactly 10. Okay. So have a great day and I will meet you tomorrow at the same time. If you have any questions, please ask me during the session also. It's not a problem, but if you're not understanding something, I will try to explain a lot of things. Okay, security is a very complex part. I know in depth, but probably if you are not asking about it, then probably you will not be able to understand. Okay, so have a great day. Please frame your questions whenever you have free time and ask me by raising your hands over the session. Okay, thank you everyone and have a great day. I will meet you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.